This is the last thing I want to say before I disappear forever. My name is Wumi. I am 25 years old. I'm sitting in this small dark room. The door is locked. My 3-year-old son is asleep in the other room, but by the time he read this, I'll be gone. I just can't take it anymore. I've tried. I swear I've tried. But the pain is too much. They all blamed me for my husband's mysterious death. They don't know what really happened. They never even gave me a chance to explain. The people in the community, his friends, his own father, they all look at me with hate. And worst of all, they say my son doesn't even belong to my husband. I loved him. From the first day I met him, his name was Ola. And this is our story. I was 17 when I first met Ola. It was a Saturday afternoon. I was on my way home from the market, and he was standing near a small shop, singing with a group of boys. His voice was so smooth, so sweet, I had to stop and listen. He saw me watching and smiled. That was the beginning. Ola was just 18 years old, a year older than me. He wasn't rich, he wasn't trying to show off, but he made me feel seen. We started talking, and in a few weeks, we were in love. The kind of love you see in movies. We would sit under the mango tree and talk about our dreams. I loved to draw, and he loved to sing. We believed the world would make space for both of us. But life doesn't always care about dreams. We were young. We didn't know how hard life could be. After 2 years, things started to change. Ola's family didn't really like me. His stepmother was always saying I was distracting him from his future. My own mother thought I was wasting my time. We started fighting. Small things became big. I would cry at night, wishing he would just come hold me, but he didn't. One day, we had a big fight, and he told me maybe we needed to take a break. I agreed, but deep inside, my heart broke. I packed my bags and left for Lagos. I wanted to become a real artist, and I thought maybe if I focus on myself, the pain would go away. I didn't know that the break would turn into years. Lagos is loud, hot, and full of people chasing something. I joined them. I got a small room in Mushin, found a small art school, and started drawing again. My sketches were not perfect, but they had heart. Every day, I walked the streets with my portfolio. Sometimes people looked, sometimes they didn't. But I didn't stop. Drawing was my escape. I drew Ola's face so many times, I thought I was going mad. But slowly, I began to heal. I even smiled again. I told myself I'd never go back to that small town. I told myself I was done with love, but love had other plans. Ola didn't sit still either. After we broke up, we went into singing full time. One day, I saw his face on television. He had gone for a music competition and he won. I was proud of him, even if we weren't together anymore. A friend of mine told me that someone spotted him performing at a concert and ended up signing him to a record label. He was living the dream, but I could tell from his eyes that something was missing. That spark I once knew was dimmer. Still, he smiled for the camera. The whole town celebrated him like a hero. Everyone, except one person, Anthony. Anthony and Ola were best friends since childhood. They went to the same school, grew up in the same neighborhood, and their families were very close, like one big family, but he never liked me. From the start, he said I would distract Ola. He always came in between us. Even when we got back together, Anthony kept planting seeds of doubt. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me tell you how we found each other again. It was at a concert in Lagos. I had gone there with a friend from art school. Ola was the surprise performer. The lights hit the stage, and there he was, singing the same song he used to sing to me under the mango tree. Our eyes met, and time stopped. After the show, he found me. We talked, and cried, and laughed. It felt like no time had passed, like the pain had been waiting for this moment to heal. We started dating again. This time, it was deeper. We weren't kids anymore. We knew what we wanted. He proposed to me 6 months later, and I said yes. We got married, and 2 years later, we were blessed with a son. I thought it was a second chance at forever. But forever was shorter than I thought. Our wedding day felt like a dream. Not because it was big or fancy, we didn't have much money, but because we were finally together. I wore a simple white gown my friend helped sew. Ola wore a white kaftan. He smiled like a boy seeing light for the first time. We had a wedding in a small church in our community. People danced, clapped, and sang. My friends from art school came. Ola's father didn't come, but I didn't let that ruin our joy. His stepmother sent a gift, but not a word. Anthony, of course, was there, standing with his arms crossed, smiling but not really smiling. He gave a short speech and said, "I hope you both last longer than the excitement." His words stung, but I ignored them. That day was about love. We moved into a small flat in Ikeja. Life was simple but sweet. I hung my drawings on the wall. Ola sang in the mornings. When I got pregnant, he danced around the room like a child. He kissed my belly every night and said, "You are my home, Wumi." I thought I had everything. But sometimes, happiness is just the silence before the storm. Anthony was always there, always watching, always talking behind me. He would visit our house and say things like, "Ola, you used to write better songs when you were alone," or "Marriage is slowing you down." He made jokes about my drawings. He said I should be focusing on cooking and taking care of Ola instead of chasing paper and pencil dreams. Ola would laugh it off, but I saw the effect. Slowly, he started to listen to Anthony more than me. He would cancel our plans to go to the studio with Anthony. He would ignore my advice and say, "Anthony understands the business side of things." I started to feel like a stranger in my own home. One night, I heard them arguing outside. Ola was shouting, "I love her, bro. You have to stop." But Anthony's voice was low and cool. "You're wasting your talent for a woman. She'll drag you down." That night, Ola held me so tight in bed, I could feel his heart beating fast. I wanted to tell him to cut Anthony off completely, but I knew he wouldn't. They had history. But what he didn't know was that history can also be a chain. Things started to go wrong between Ola and the record label. At first, Ola was happy with the record label. They gave him clothes, shows, and even a small car. But it didn't take long before the smiles faded. He started coming home late. Some nights, not at all. When I asked, he would say, "They made me stay. They say I have to party with the big boys." But he didn't enjoy it. He would sit alone in the dark, holding his head, saying nothing. Then the stories came. His manager would insult him in front of others. He wasn't allowed to make his own songs anymore. They gave him lyrics he didn't connect with. He would write beautiful music, but they would throw it away and say, "This one is not for the market." Some friends of the label boss, rich men, bullied him. They would mock his voice, laugh at his shoes, and once even pour drink on his head at a party. When Ola told me, I cried. He just smiled sadly and said, "I'm used to being treated like nothing." But I knew he wasn't. He was breaking slowly, and I couldn't just watch. I had to do something. I begged him to leave the label. "Ola, they are killing your spirit," I said one night. "You are not safe there. Please walk away." At first, he refused. "They'll destroy me if I leave. They'll say I'm ungrateful. They'll block me from getting shows." But I kept pushing. I told him we could build his brand from scratch. I would use my art, he would use his voice, and we would make something together. A family brand. After weeks of talking, crying, praying, he finally agreed. He wrote a letter and left the label. We thought the storm had passed, but we were wrong. Soon after he left, things got worse. They stopped him from performing at shows. Some of his old songs disappeared from the internet. One day, he went to a live show in Surulere, and the crowd booed him. I later found out someone paid boys in the area to embarrass him. He came home that night and didn't speak a word. He just sat on the floor, staring at nothing. I sat beside him and cried. I didn't know this was the beginning of his end. I thought leaving the label would free him. But sometimes, freedom brings new chains. After Ola left the label, I thought we'd finally have peace. But peace never came. He tried to record songs on his own. He wrote beautiful lyrics, but no studio wanted to work with him. Most of them were connected to the label, and they were told not to help him. It was like he had been blacklisted. Ola would wake up early, full of hope, but come back home empty and silent. One night, I asked him, "Why don't we move away from Lagos? Just start again somewhere new." He looked at me, tired and broken. "Wumi, I'm already lost. I don't think I can start over again. The truth is, he never had real support. His father never believed in his music. His stepmother said he would amount to nothing. The label used him. Anthony envied him. Only I loved him for who he was. But even my love wasn't enough to protect him from what came next. He started having nightmares. He couldn't sleep well. He would sit up all night, sweating, talking to himself. I didn't know what to do. I just kept praying, holding him, whispering, "You're safe now." But deep inside, I knew he didn't feel safe anymore. Ola started changing. He stopped singing. The man who once sang to me every morning now stayed quiet. He sat by the window for hours, staring at the street. He barely touched his food. He forgot to shower. I had to remind him to brush his teeth. Sometimes, he even forgot our son's name. It was like something inside him was slowly dying. I begged him to see a doctor. He refused. He said, "I'm not mad, Wumi. I just need to breathe." I knew it wasn't madness. It was pain, deep pain that had been growing for years, from childhood to the label to the betrayal by friends. He carried too much inside, and now it was eating him from within. Our son, Toby, would run to him with toys, but Ola would only smile weakly. He didn't play like he used to. It broke my heart to watch him fade. One day, I found him crying in the bathroom. I sat beside him and held his hand. He whispered, "Wumi, if I disappear, promise me you raise Toby to be better than me." I didn't know how to answer. I just held him tighter because I was already losing him and I couldn't stop it. Even though his father never showed him love, Ola still ran to him when life got hard. He packed a small bag and went to see his father in Ikorodu. I stayed back with Toby. I thought maybe he needed space. Maybe his father would finally say something kind, something that would heal him. He was gone for 3 days. When he returned, he looked worse. He told me I was weak, Ola said. My chest tightened. "What do you mean?" He said I should man up, that men don't cry, that I'm the one who brought this on myself. I didn't know what to say. I wanted to scream. How could a father say such a thing? Ola's father had never been kind. After his mother left, he remarried quickly. Ola's stepmother treated him like a stranger. He grew up feeling unwanted. He always said music was the only thing that made him feel alive. Now even music was gone. After that visit, Ola never spoke about going back there. Something in him broke even deeper, and I could see it. The boy inside him, the one who just wanted to be loved, had given up. It was a weekend show in our community. Ola hadn't performed in months, but the organizer begged him to appear. I told him to say no, but he said, maybe this is my chance to feel normal again. He got up that morning, shaved, dressed nicely. It was the first time in a long while he smiled. But it was a trap. I was at home with Toby when the call came in. Come quickly, Ola has been attacked. I rushed to the venue. My legs shook as I ran through the crowd. When I found him, he was on the floor, blood on his shirt, his eyes swollen. People were just standing there watching. Later, we found out that some boys linked to his old label were paid to fight him. They didn't just beat him, they broke something inside him that night. We took him home. He didn't want to go to the hospital. He said he was fine. He stopped talking, he stopped eating, he stopped trying. That attack wasn't just on his body, it was on his soul. And I could feel him slipping further and further away. And still, nobody helped us. Ola didn't speak much after the attack. His eyes were always half closed, like he was tired of everything. He stopped writing songs. He stopped singing lullabies to Toby. He just laid on the bed, staring at the ceiling. I made him soup, but he didn't eat. I brought water, but he only sipped a little. I begged him to let us go to the hospital, but he said no. I'm just tired, he whispered. I called a nurse from down the street. Her name was Nurse Ada. She came every day. She cleaned him, gave him small injections, rubbed his chest, and tried to make him smile, but nothing worked. Ola was already somewhere else in his mind. At night, I would hold his hand and cry. Toby would ask, is Daddy sleeping again? I would nod and say yes, even though it felt like a lie. Every hour felt like we were counting down. His skin got pale. His voice got weaker. The man I married was disappearing before my eyes. I tried to stay strong. For him, for our son. But inside, I was dying too. Because no matter how hard I tried, I could not save him. Nurse Ada was a kind woman. She didn't ask for money most times. She just said, "This boy is too young to die." She stayed for hours every day. She cleaned his wounds, sponged his body, and whispered prayers into his ears. She told me he needed a hospital badly, but Ola refused. "If I die," he said one evening, "at least I'll die at home, with you beside me." I cried in silence that night. Ada brought him herbs, medicine, and even called another nurse friend to help. But still, his health didn't improve. His breathing became slow and heavy. He could no longer sit up without help. One morning he looked at me and said, "Wumi, forgive me for everything. I wanted to be great for you." I held his hand tightly. "You are great, Ola. You are the greatest man I've ever known." He smiled weakly and whispered, "I love you." That evening, I left to get pap for him. When I came back, Nurse Ada was sitting on the floor crying. He was gone, just like that. No sound, no goodbye, no warning. The love of my life was gone. And that's when the real nightmare began. The very next morning, people gathered outside our house. I was still in shock holding Toby when I heard the shouting, "Come out, witch. She killed him. She used him for money." At first, I thought I was dreaming, but it was real. Anthony stood in front of the crowd, pointing at me like I was a criminal. Ever since she came into his life again, his life went down. Now he's dead. Ola's father didn't say a word to me. He didn't even look at me. He just took one glance at our son and muttered, "That boy doesn't look like my grandson." That one sentence spread like wildfire. People started saying the child wasn't Ola's, that I had cheated, that I gave him something to drink. I screamed, I cried, I begged them to listen. I told them how he was bullied, broken, depressed. I told them he refused hospital care. I even brought Nurse Ada to speak, but nobody cared. In their eyes, I was guilty. They buried him without letting me speak. They didn't let Toby say goodbye. And from that day, they treated me like I had killed him with my own hands. Days turned to weeks. The pain didn't go away, it got worse. People stopped talking to me. Women pulled their children away from me. Children threw stones at my door. The market women refused to sell to me. Even the church asked me to stop coming. Toby would ask, "Mommy, why don't people like us?" And I would smile with tears in my eyes and say, "They're just sad, baby." But the truth is, I was the sad one. I stopped drawing. I stopped eating. My body was there, but my spirit was already gone. Every night, I lay beside Ola's pillow and begged God to take me. I whispered, "I'm tired." I told him I didn't want to wake up again, but morning always came. One night, I wrote a letter. I looked at Toby's face. I kissed him one last time and said, "Please be strong for me." Then I drank something I shouldn't have. I didn't do it to escape. I did it because I had already died the day Ola died. The body was just catching up. If you're reading this, my son, please forgive me. I didn't leave you because I didn't love you. I left because my heart couldn't carry the pain anymore. I tried to be strong. For you, for your father, but the weight on my chest was too heavy. Every day felt like drowning, and I got tired of swimming. Toby, you are the only beautiful thing I have left in this world. Your smile reminds me of Ola. Your laugh, your eyes, they carry his soul. But the world around us turned so cruel. They didn't just take your father from me, they took my voice, my peace, my name. They called me a killer, a liar, a curse. But you, my son, know the truth. You were born out of love, a deep, honest love between two broken souls trying to be whole together. I wish I could watch you grow up. I wish I could hold your hand on your first day at school. I wish I could draw your face every year until you're grown. But now, I will become a memory. My baby, don't let this world make you hard. Be kind. Be strong. Be free. They found my body the next morning. Beside me, the letter I wrote to Toby. The neighbors screamed. Some cried. Some whispered. She really did it. But it didn't matter anymore. The pain was over. Nurse Ada came and carried Toby in her arms. She didn't let them touch him. She told everyone to leave. She said, "This boy will not grow up with lies. He will know who his mother was." Ola and I now rest in silence. Not in the same grave, but maybe somewhere in the same sky. They never gave us peace in life. Maybe death will be kind. If anyone ever tells this story, let them say this. There was once a girl named Wumi who loved deeply. There was once a boy named Ola who sang through pain. And in a world that broke them apart, their love still found a way to create something beautiful. A little boy named Toby. This is not just a story of death. It's a story of love. A story of how pain can turn a heart to ash. And how silence sometimes becomes the loudest cry. Goodbye. If you've watched up to this point, please subscribe to this channel to encourage us to create more heartfelt stories for you.